It is one of the most important numbers in our financial lives, that being our credit score. Many of the purchases we make every day play a big role in determining that number, but why is it such a big deal? David Lunsky from Forefront Credit Union is here with us in the studio. David, thanks so much for being here. We hear it all the time. You can't turn on the TV, you can't turn on the radio with somebody's talking about check your credit score or know your credit score. All right, so let's start off with the basics. What is a credit score?
Well, credit score is important. It's a three-digit number between 300 and 850. Okay. The credit score is pretty much a definition of your credit worthiness. It's based on what is inside your credit bureau, and from that we can determine, and we're trying to determine and predict default rates. That's what really the lender is looking to do, and it makes a difference to consumers because higher credit scores means lower default, lower interest rates, and that could save you hundreds, even thousands of dollars, because we're using credit scores to set rates for mortgage loans, auto loans. Credit scores are even used in some cases to set discounts that you get for your auto insurance as well. Good credit is important. Even some employers now are pulling, they're looking at a credit bureau to determine how financially responsible someone is and how stable they might be before they make that offer of employment.
Wow. So really having a high credit score is going to pay off in a lot of areas, even if you don't think, well, I'm not going to apply for a loan or anything like that. It can be far-reaching.
It is. It actually is.
So that is your credit score. How are credit scores actually calculated?
They're somewhat complex formulas. They're algorithms that are built by FICO. They call FICO scores, Fair Isaac Corporation is what that stands for. And it's looking inside your credit bureau to determine your credit worthiness. But really, you could break it down as a consumer.
Okay, let's do that.
Three basic things.
Okay.
One is how long you've been in the credit bureau and the types of credit you have, the mix you have of credit.
Okay.
Second thing, how did you pay? Your history. If you've paid on time, you score very well. Last but not least is an important one that's fairly easy to manipulate in that what you have available for credit. So in other words, if you have credit limits on your credit cards, your lines of credit, and if you use all of your credit all of the time, it's somewhat of a measure of discipline. Those that use a lot of their credit typically are the folks that are most likely to default on loans. So if you have limits on your credit cards and very low balances, that will bode very well for the credit score in that case then.
Okay, so if I understand that correctly, let's say we want to try to do something simple to improve our credit score, use our credit cards, but only when we can pay them off kind of thing?
Pay them off and keep the balances fairly low.
Keep the balances low, because then you'll have more that you could borrow.
More credit available.
And so the powers that be that give us the score will like that.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, so again, we hear it all the time. Get a copy of your credit report. Get a copy, and we're told by people that know a lot more about finances than me, check your credit score. So how can I get a copy of my credit score?
It's easy to do. Under federal law, we have to provide, the credit bureaus have to provide a credit bureau to everybody once a year. So one just goes to annualcreditreport.com and can ask for a copy of their credit bureau. Coming from TransUnion, and Equifax is in there as well, Experian, and you can do it once a year, and it's free. That's the most important part. But my advice to consumers is don't go into the credit bureau and ask for all three at one time. Space them out throughout the year. Go and look at one and then put it on your calendar. 4 months later, look at the other. It'd give you a chance to see what your credit bureau looks like throughout the year, and you also get a chance to see who's been peeking at your credit as well. And more importantly, you're looking for inaccuracies on your credit profile. That's what you're looking for. But always be aware that credit bureau that you're getting for free doesn't include your credit score. It's just your credit bureau. The credit score you'll find is available for a fee from different providers. But even inside that, I caution consumers that when you get that score, it's not this perfect number, because the credit score is coming from 3 different organizations. Inside those organizations, there are multiple types of credit scores we use. For example, we might use a different credit score to approve you for an auto loan than we would for a mortgage loan, because we're looking primarily at how'd you pay your auto loan the last time.
The last time, so it can change. All right, so if I get my credit report and I see something that I think, I don't agree with this, can I dispute that? And if so, how do I go about doing that?
You can and you should. It's very important because, like I said earlier, the credit score determines credit worthiness, which determines rate, which costs you money in the long run. So if you find a discrepancy, my advice is you want to file your dispute. To file a dispute, it's fairly easy. You go directly to the credit reporting agency that showed that negative item and dispute that item. What's really important is that the Fair Credit Reporting Act over the years has been amended several times, it provides important coverage for consumers and protection because there could be inaccuracies. And probably the most sweeping change happened years ago where the burden of proof, it moved from the lender, or from the consumer to the lender. So that
from me to you.
That absolutely.
Okay. I like
so
that.
It is. Most people do because then if there's something inaccurate, the credit bureau has to prove, and the lender has to prove that it exists before they can report on your credit bureau. So my advice to all consumers: if you find something that's inaccurate, that's derogative, dispute it.
Dispute it.
There's no downside.
All right, excellent. Some great tips there. Having good credit can save you a ton of money. Taking care of it starts with developing good habits, paying bills on time, not maxing out those credit cards, and keeping an eye on your credit report. David, thanks so much for being here. Good advice. Kristen, back to you.